We're heading into the final week of the session, so we're here to tell you that a whole lot went down in this short week, and there's still a lot coming up. I'm Andrew, and he's Nate, and this is the DLC's Policy Corner.
Andrew's not wrong. It was a busy week, but we still have a lot coming up. One big thing is by the time you all see this, we will likely have at least initial budget items from executive appropriations. We also saw late last week that the legislature expects another $340 million to be available to spend this year, a number that includes an additional $126 million in ongoing revenue growth and $214 million more in one-time or surplus funds. If there are any major items not funded by the Executive Appropriations Committee, we will try to get word out to folks to contact the committee next week, as there still could be time for a few adjustments.
And the fun didn't stop with the budget. The big news for the week is that Representative Judkins' supported decision-making bill, HB 197, made it through the Senate committee. After some negotiations, it was further amended to address concerns from parents. The supported decision-making pieces of the bill remain largely the same, but there have been some limited changes to the Guardianship Bill of Rights for those who had a full guardianship prior to October of this year and have a severe intellectual disability. While we don't like to limit rights in any way, the changes are narrow and necessary for the legislature to codify supported decision-making agreements.
In a bit of bad news, Representative Ward's bill, HB 347, that we've told you about, and essentially says that students with disabilities have to be served in the least restrictive environment if it doesn't result in serious bodily injury to others or disrupt the classroom in a significant and ongoing way, passed the full House. While it's slightly better, our concerns remain that it will lead to a potential conflict with the IDEA, and so we'll have to keep watching this one in the Senate.
Another big focus for this week was on HB 463, Representative Brammer's Medicaid bill. You've probably seen a few action alerts on this one. It defines a Medicaid shortfall and then makes cuts to services if one occurs. Because of how the triggers for a shortfall are defined, they are likely to occur. We've spent a lot of time working with other advocates to talk to as many members of the House as possible. As of today, we are hopeful it won't have the votes in the House.
The rest of the news on bills this week are largely related to mental health. First up, we saw Representative Judkins' mental health study, HB 139, get through a Senate committee and is off to the floor. The question on this bill remains funding, and we hope that either EAC or the department can come up with the funds to make this one happen.
We also saw Representative Clancy's HB 299 pass out of committee. This was the bill that had some good pieces on discharge planning, but also required the sale of the Utah State Hospital. Thankfully, the bill no longer includes any of the provisions around the sale or anything like it about the state hospital. It does make some changes to civil commitment, but we believe that because the bill does include some additional protections, it's largely a good bill. The bill also now includes a study of civil commitment patients, including what resources are needed to prevent folks ending up in the state hospital and help them get served in the community.
Last up, we mentioned HB 544 from Representative Abbott last week, and it got to a committee very quickly. This bill adds certain rights and protections for people with mental illness in inpatient settings, like access to their phone and their own clothes, unless a legitimate safety reason exists, and access to their records and a patient advocate. Similar to Representative Clancy's bill, as the state looks to expand civil commitments, we want to make sure that as many protections exist for this population as possible.
It's likely too late in the session for any new bills to get through, but we had a handful of new ones this week that were of interest. First, a bill from Representative Judkins to improve the application process for Medicaid, HB 565, and one from Representative Clancy that would prevent utility companies from shutting off utilities if it's too hot. Again, these aren't likely to go anywhere this year, but it just means we have something to look forward to next session.
Well, I'm not sure I want to think about next session yet, Andrew, but I guess the fun really never does end. Well, like we said earlier, keep an eye out for any action alerts or information about the budget or any bills that need some help. We will return for our final episode of the session after it ends on March 1st. We'll let you know where everything ended up as we're watching a lot of bills on the floor in both chambers. But as always, you can see our bill and budget trackers, a calendar, and all of our public comments on our website, disabilitylawcenter.org/issues/public-policy. Thanks for watching the Policy Corner, and we'll see you when it's all over, which can't come soon enough.